What are some hidden dress codes people wear to identify themselves that you have to already know about to notice? Pro-Trump. Someone told me a red hat in my town was a sign that you were selling M. I was like, how did I not notice this, as literally every tweaker was wearing one. Some women wearing red pirate bandanas or cartoonish red logo-less ball caps. It's an old sailor's tradition to wear a golden earring. Don't know if it's just the Netherlands or worldwide, but some of the mainly fisherman towns here have their own specific type of golden earring. So if you see a Dutch guy wearing a big golden earring with a detailed design, you know he comes from a fisherman town. Golden earring tradition was historically done in case a fisherman would fall overboard. The golden earring could cover the costs of a proper burial. I hear they've got a thing that's called red or love. I used to wonder why certain people in my office would wear the same colors as each other sometimes. Turns out they were listening to a radio station here in NYC that would suggest a color for you to wear that day. To me that is hilarious. I'm not sure why that's so funny, but it is. So this is probably a very specific Norwegian thing, but the color of your hat is signaling your availability when hiking in the mountains. Red hat means taken, green means available, and orange means that you're open for a chat. This is important knowledge if you're trying to pull a Norwegian, because hiking is the only non-alcoholic activity where a Norwegian will ever talk to a stranger, ever. This sounds fake, but I don't know enough about Norway to know for sure. If it's true, I love it. In China, your zodiac year is your unlucky year, so your unlucky year occurs once every 12 years. The way to mitigate the unluckiness of the said year is to wear some form of the color red each day. Doesn't need to be a complete red outfit, just something that has red as a part of the pattern. But wearing red every day is a dead giveaway for their age. 24, 36, 48, 60 in the workplace, thus explaining the phenomenon of the red underwear gift. The red underwear is a way to beat the unluckiness of your zodiac year while blending in. So some water cooler talk could go like, hey, did you notice that insert name has worn red 3/7 days this week? Is she 24 or 36? Fascinating stuff. Well, I'm 36 and a rat, that freaking explains it. This thread is making me mildly anxious about what messages I am inadvertently sending because of random clothing and jewelry choices. LOL. Reminds me of when I was in elementary school and we were told not to wear red or black to school because they were associated with certain gangs. Ah, yes, elementary school. Der officer told us gangs would murder people wearing red or blue, and my anxiety-riddled 10-year-old butt spent the rest of the day terrified because I was wearing my favorite teal and fuchsia striped shirt. Ruined that shirt for me and I didn't realize for years how ridiculous that was. I grew up in a very safe small town where gangs were not a problem. Ties in specific designs can signify which university you attended or private club you belong to such an extent that with certain teamakers in the UK, you have to prove membership before you can buy the tie. A friend's father was constantly failing his advanced driving course, needed it for work, until the time he wore his old school tie. He passed and the examiner mentioned he had gone to that school too. Undercover police in Japan. They all wear casual clothes but with the same type of black shoes and navy pants. It's easy enough to spot them as long as you know to check the shoes and the color of their pants. I've been stopped a few times in Japan by undercover police and asked for it. I used to smoke outside the local police station and watch them come out and go about their undercover police work. When I was a teenager, a lot of the working class, multi-generation in the area kids from the very rural West Virginian area I moved to wore these, to my teenage eyes, very funny looking polka dot caps with downward pointing brims. At the time I just assumed they got them at this store that still had a lot of 70s dead stock and it was a trend because they were cheap and it was the 90s and we were irony poisoned. It was pretty widespread across a few counties though. They were mostly worn by the kids who already had decided they were not going to college, whether by their own choice or their own circumstances. They were welders' caps. Welder is an aspirational job in the area if you plan to stay there after graduation. They were signifying they planned to stay and work in the same field their dads did. It didn't even occur to me what it was all about until some high school reunion. There is a code when it comes to livestock and equestrians that are often not well known. It's most common with horses, but I have seen them used for other animals such as goats who are used to carry supplies when hiking on very rough terrain. These colors can often be universal and can be represented by a ribbon on the tail, or a collar halter of the same color. Red means the horse animal has a tendency to kick bite. Yellow, and sometimes blue, means that they are a stallion intact male, which are known to be moody or aggressive. Green means the horse animal is inexperienced. White means the horse animal is for sale. Pink is sometimes used if the female horse animal is generally moody or in heat. If you're actually rich, you're not flashing brands. The rich of California wear subtly expensive workout or hiking clothes as much as humanly possible. Patagonia, North Face, Columbia, etc. Logos are gauche. Also, for women's jewelry, you'll see a lot of subtle wealth and minimalism, nothing big or clunky or super sparkly. My experience mostly in LA, Santa Barbara and SF. That old saying still rings true. Money talks, but wealth whispers. The goal is to be rich, not look rich. I remember being told once that, in the UK, when a man wears red socks it means he's made it or is financially secure or something of that ilk. My socks are white or black, or occasionally Batman socks. If someone is wearing a belt but have the buckle on either side of their hips instead of the middle, it means they spend all day leaning over engine bays of hot rods and don't want their belt buckle scratching the paintwork. Or plays guitar. Here in Japan, tattoos are related to the yakuza, meaning, whether you are a yakuza or not, people with tattoos are not allowed in numerous establishments like public baths, etc. Yakuza don't generally flash their tattoos to the public, so they generally use long sleeve shirts. Sometimes when they use short sleeves clothing they would use arm sleeves to cover up the arm tattoos. It's a dead giveaway that these people are, or have been, mafia related. I grew up spending a lot of time in the Great Lakes and overall sailing culture. The height of manliness is a pink MT, gay baseball cap. No, I'm not joking. The caps are given out at major sailing races. Since MT, gay rum has a sponsorship, the caps are originally red, but if you've used and had one for a long time, it fades to pink. You want one. You can also tell, in port, who is a local and who boats, by their dog. Locals like big doggers for guarding against animals and pulling sleds, huskies and husky crosses, and sailors like medium-sized, water-friendly doggers. Don't like to get very big ones because they're hard to lift in and out of boats, eat, and poop out more, but don't like toy dogs either, because they're not tough enough to stand the weather and the water. Mostly Aussies, small retrievers, and the occasional tough terrier. As my gay college buddy who loved MT, gay rum used to say, mount gay, or don't mount at all. Small stainless steel or iron pinky ring on your dominant hand is an engineer, specifically an engineer who's pledged an ethics oath. Not exactly a secret, but not well known either. The style of kippah yarmulke Jewish men wear can tell you how religious they are, where their family's from, their political views, which sect they are, which rabbi they follow, etc. Oftentimes student nurses will wear one color of scrubs to stand out from professionals during clinicals. My color was hazel gray. I'm about to start phlebotomy classes and the school had me put in an order for black scrubs. I don't know if that's the industry standard for phlebs, but here's hoping. My friends have all been saying I'm going to vampire school. The black seems fitting. Quite a specific one, but if you are walking round the court's legal district in an English or Welsh city, you can tell who is a barrister going to from court, because even though most no longer wear robes or wig, they do still wear detachable collars and these sort of straight white ribbon things instead of ties, but with an otherwise very sober dark suit and white shirt. Also, they're often carrying a big suitcase full of books and authorities. If they have a stainless steel pinky ring on their dominant hand, they probably graduated from an engineering school in the States or Canada. Dirndl, traditional German dress. If you tie your belt from the apron, on the right it means you are single, middle equals married and left is widowed. I believe. It has been a number of years since I was told about it and I might have it backwards. Traditional Bavarian, and also Austrian. Right means married taken. Middle in general apparently can mean none of your business. Middle front means virgin. Middle back means widow. Seems that it can also mean waitress. Left means single, from the POV of the one wearing it. After coming out, I learned that, as a woman, using a carabiner to hook your keys to your belt loop is a big lesbian thing. I've been doing it for years. Whoops, I'm accidentally indicating I'm a lesbian then. Sorry ladies, carabiners are just convenient. If you see someone with a tattooed on wedding ring, it's usually because they work with machine tools or electricity, where having something metal and or conductive on their hand while working can lead to very bad things. I have mine tattooed because I hate wearing jewelry. White cap sleeve shirts under sleeveless tops or dresses. Mormon. I live in Utah, so to reverse this, tank tops in the summer and my ears double pierced to show I'm not Mormon. I'm Jew-ish. I live in Scotland, and there's not many of us around, but I've been to synagogue and lived in Israel, and I can easily spot a married Orthodox Jewish woman out of a crowd, mostly by her wig, but also her dress style to an extent. It's such a natural distinction for me that I didn't realize it wasn't immediately obvious to others until I was driving with my friends by Loch Ness and we saw a big gathering, mostly behind trees, and someone said something along the lines of "I wonder what's going on there," and I replied, "Looks like an organized Jewish event," because I saw several mothers and their kids by the road and I instantly recognized them as Orthodox Jews. My friends looked at me as if I had a supernatural Judah because there weren't any obvious men in sight wearing heavily recognized religious clothing. Think kippahs, head caps, or peyot hair curls, ect. I remember that the old people in the villages, one of the largest retirement places in Florida, would have different color flags flying from their golf cart. Each one explains what sexual thing they want. Forgot what was what, but also I remember there was crazy STDs rampant in that place. One of my family members works at corporate for a regional department store, and he said the store in this chain that sells the most thongs is their location near the villages. In Australia, and I'm sure other countries, I wear a polo shirt and cargo shorts so everyone knows I'm a dad. Sandals optional. In the armed services, it used to be, probably not so much now, you could identify an academy grad by the presence of a class ring. This would be an informal way to distinguish academy grads from officers who received commissions via other avenues, such as OCS. That's the reason academy grads were called ring knockers. During promotion time, when such source of commissioning information would be masked in the personnel files being reviewed by the board, the official photo, which everyone was required to have, would show the hands. The presence of the ring indicated to those on the board inclined to look out for fellow academy grads who was a member of the club even when that information was, officially speaking, masked. They're called ring knockers because they have a habit of knocking their ring on the table just to remind you that they have a ring from West Point. Some good ones to add: black pocket squares, especially in butt pockets, often correlate to BDSM participants. Depending on where you go, the pocket it's placed in can tell you if someone is a dom or a sub. Some places use different colors, but the black square is the most universal, so I've seen. Similarly, a lot of people think of BDSM collars as big, heavy things, usually made of leather. While this is often true during play, those who are collared often wear a day collar. Typically this is a necklace, often with some sort of locking motif or chain, but not always. However, a more common one for people who can't wear necklaces is anklets. Given that anklets are not as popular in regular life, I often find myself asking if someone is into BDSM when I see a chain anklet around their ankle. If their denim is cuffed and there are red lines on the seam, it means selvage denim and they are probably into their jeans. In Gen Z queer culture, cuffed denim, or cuffed anything to be honest, means they're bisexual. Silver Crocs equals I have multiple bottles of soda in my fridge. Jorts equals I'm stone cold Steve Austin. Bandana and eyebrows equals I ride a motorcycle. Bandana and no eyebrows equals I am receiving chemotherapy. T-shirt with ripped off sleeves equals my kids will jump on your furniture and my reaction will be inappropriate. The sleeveless shirt one is perfect. Anyone who graduates with an engineering degree in Canada has a steel ring on the pinky finger of their dominant hand. Oddly, women have hit on me after noticing it. Never in my life did I think engineering was a sexy degree. My mom gave me advice about dating engineers. The odds are good, but the goods are odd. Military uniforms tell you a lot about the person wearing them beyond their name and rank. You can tell what campaigns they've been involved in, what professional military education courses they've completed, their proficiency with weapons, their occupational specialty in their level of proficiency, how many years they've served, and, at least in the USAF, their MAJCOM, wing, and possibly squadron of assignment. Another little secret of the military dress code has to do with hats. A person in uniform wearing a hat indoors indicates that they are armed. The weapon may be concealed or carried openly, but it is a fast way to determine who in a room has weapons. Basically, a military uniform is the equivalent of someone wearing a suit with their entire resume, degrees and certifications on it for everyone to see. There's a lot of this in a hospital setting, though it probably varies quite a bit from one hospital to another. My hospital only provides scrubs to people who work in the OR. Everyone else has to buy their own scrubs, so you can immediately identify surgical versus non-surgical staff. If someone is wearing personal scrubs and a cloth scrub cap, they are probably from a COVID unit. If someone sees some COVID patients but not exclusively COVID, they'll have their N95 clipped to their scrubs in a paper bag. Respiratory therapists always have small backpacks, fanny packs, sling bags with extra supplies. Medical students have short white coats and are required to wear them. Residents usually wear fleece jackets instead of white coats. Doctors have pagas. Nurses usually don't. Emergency room staff have trauma shears for cutting off clothing. Someone with a reflex hammer in their pocket or safety pins on their lanyard is definitely a neurologist. An IUD clip to the ID badge definitely an OBGYN. Radiologists are often in scrubs because if issued they are often grey with the nuclear sign and look cool as crap. If you see someone in all black and work boots on a subway in NYC, there's a great possibility that they're a stagehand, or if they're in all black and dress shoes they could be a musician. Or at least that's how it used to be before the pandemic. Red trousers might be a UK thing, but usually associated with old money upper class type people, or eccentricity. The two seem to overlap a fair bit though, or at least it seems so to a commoner like me. When you expect to see a guy naked, think intimacy or communal changing rooms or showers, but they are in tiny denim shorts, it's because they are a never nude. Handkerchief in the back pocket is something the gay leatherman, or women, wear to symbolize they are on the hunt for a date, or it was used to symbolize a sexual fetish. Or right pocket meant you were a top or dominant, left pocket meant you were a bottom. Yes, I've been to some interesting parties. Not sure it already stated, but United Pentecostal women, everyday clothes, very long hair, typically a jean skirt down to ankles and either a button-up shirt or t-shirt worn with comfortable walking shoes, no makeup, can't spot them a mile away. A shoestring as a belt is a skateboarding thing. Not sure if they still do it, but I remember it starting when I was in high school 15 years ago. Dude, he's ragging on your cord. In the mid 1990s, shoestrings that were gold, red, or blue signified gang affiliation. Different baseball hats were used to signal gang affiliation as well. If you knew what to look for, you could tell which set they claimed. The direction a person wore their hat was also a significant thing. Wearing it pointing up was a king's thing. Wearing it to one side was a symbol for Crip gangs and their allied crews. KSWISS shoes were big with Crips. They used it as an acronym for kill slobs when I see slobs. Slob was a very unfriendly term for blood gang members. Echo clothing was popular with some blood gang members because of the CK in the middle. CK was an acronym for Crip killer. Yeah, I grew up around some rough types. It is amazing my life went the direction it did. Mainly a Scottish, possibly mainly Glaswegian thing too, but it's all over. Green, with maybe white. Celtic supporter, used to be exclusively Catholics. Red and blue, Rangers supporter, used to be exclusively Protestant. If you're in a certain town in Scotland and wearing the wrong colours, you could be assaulted. Not all. This isn't a common thing, but it does happen. Up until not too long ago, about 2003, sectarianism was quite prevalent in Scotland, and the two football clubs almost enhanced it. Celtic and Rangers supporters were not liked by the other, and fights occurred often. Many were killed, identified as F-nins or Jaffa just by the colors they wore. There's a book most teens young adults in Scotland would have read called Divided City, and it goes into more depth at some of it. I've been advised by my parents numerous times not to wear a certain color or dye my hair a certain color because of the area my dad lived in, the area we all worked in, and the supporters in the area. There's also the Orange Walk, an organized walk that happens every now and again. And if you're in Glasgow on the day of an Orange Walk, it's kinda terrifying because of the crowd of people and also the lingering thought of, if I'm not lucky, I could get hurt. Not fun as a kid at the age of 14 just trying to go to a drama club. My mom is from Hawaii and wears flowers in her hair every day. She said that wearing your flower on the left side of your head means you're taken, and wearing it on the right means you're single. Head coverings vary among observant Muslim women from different countries. The kind many people think of is the Saudi Arabian style that has become more popular in the last decade or so. A cool one is the different traditional head coverings between Kazakhs: white scarf with a part tied back like a nurse's cap; Uyghurs, colorful scarf and tied in front or behind the neck; and the Hui, a cap with cloth coming down the sides. All groups found in China, depending on how you feel about groups leaving to be independent. I think it's like people from different countries tying knots. My favorite hobby is to guess the nationality by the hijab or kafiyeh. If I'm wearing exercise shorts, flip-flops, and an oversized hoodie, I'm in full mental illness uniform and just here to pick up a prescription or some snacks. Wearing a small triangular lace, normally called a mantilla, usually in the Catholic Church, just means you're from a more traditional family. The mantilla is specifically from Spanish culture, I think. I googled it for context. But in the Catholic Church it is worn by women to symbolize a desire to be more like the Virgin Mary. But it's generally only worn in the church when in the presence of the Holy Eucharist. If I'm getting my info right, they were required for women pre-Vatican II to symbolize purity and humility or something. I personally don't wear one, which is not to say I am less holy or don't want to be like Mary, but mantillas generally come from the Latin rite, and I was raised in the Novus Ordo, which is the post-Vatican II Mass in English, and women are allowed to do a bit more in no, so I just grew up not wearing one. The no is just as valid. However, many traditional Latin Rite Catholics believe otherwise. Like, I've met some wonderful Latin Rite people, but I've also met some horribly judgmental LO people. But if you wanna identify a trad Catholic, look for the mantilla. That may be a thing in Latin America, Spain, Southern Europe, but I grew up in a traditional Catholic family and this is not something a traditional Catholic from Central Europe would ever wear. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.